Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening, MJV and Andy Griff? I'm like the worst with the anagrams. I'm just literally the worst. Um, Wait for Bobby, and then we'll get started here. I got three sports I can talk about. Just waiting on Bobby to get. I think he started already, but I don't know. I was expecting Miami to.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, I was expecting Miami to be have more guys, but it doesn't look that way, huh?
Miami. What do you mean?
I was expecting more of them to look better with Lowry out.
Oh no, I mean they've had Butler or Bam or Hero or more multiples out
Okay.
for basically every game this season, so it really shouldn't make much of a difference.
Okay.
This is actually like if they lost one more guy, they'd still probably have more guys, and they also have Oladipo now who's going to play minutes. So
Right.
I don't think it really changes anything. The only thing that it may change at all would be maybe Hero, Butler, and Bam are slightly more interesting, but I think Hero would be the only one that I would look to. But I'm honestly not playing any of them, so
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to either. I mean, they moved up a little bit, but it's still the San Antonio and Houston game dominates my board.
Yeah.
Let me just before we start, I just don't want to get. I want to continue to promote this for those of you guys are watching. So at 11, we're going to do a live sweat, and I'm listen. This goes back to the days of Poker X Factor. What I would do is I would start playing at like 3 hours beforehand, and then at like must have been like 1 in the morning. I think I ran these things. I forget. People would come in and see whatever I had left, and I kind of like massaged it a little bit. Like I try to play like as many things as possible so that there'd be something going on when by the time they came, and they would always have like 3 or 4 tables. So I'm there's a chance that I could be alive in something hockey, a chance we could be alive in football, chance we have in basketball, and just for funsies, I'm playing 15 lineups in the Nuggets Blazers showdown slate.
Look at you go, just getting all the kind of action out there. That's such a Sheets thing to do.
Just to make sure there'd be something to sweat.
Yeah, just to give the extra chances. I know I found myself playing a little bit more tonight and spreading it out a little bit more than I normally would.
Well, and excuse me, just in case I won, I would feel bad. I posted on Stakings and like sold out in like 2 seconds. I think. I don't know. NBA showdown. Let's go. We're gonna have
why not?
All kinds of some crap, but so there'll be something. There'll be something to sweat. I promise. But the most important thing is if any of you guys are deep in something at that time, make sure that you get in there and you post what you and we'll pull up the lobby. We're probably in most everything anyway. We'll be able to pull up the lobbies and we'll try to have some fun with it. Or the worst case, we can whine about the bad plays we made or how the bad beats we took or whatever it is, and talk about who is going to win the slate and what they may or may not have done. So, all right, again, we're trying everything. So we'll on that. So what are you doing in the NBA? And then we'll do football again.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that later. So just to give away some ownership. So like I have money. I have lineups where I'm leaving money on the table. I think you're splitting up Roby, Bassie, or Collins, like I mentioned earlier. Roby's a little bit more playable for me because I have a center in every utility, and I like Nurkic, I like Jokic, I like Collins, and I like Bassie, but they're both center eligible only. So I'm finding myself with a little more Roby than I necessarily wanted, but because of that. Langford and Barnum. I think Barnum is the larger field play. Langford is the, single entry, smaller field. I don't think it's like a sure thing that Langford has a game tonight. I think you want to mix in some McDermott with that as well. I like Jamal Murray and Jokic, and I feel comfortable using them both together. I like Nurkic as my favorite run back on the other side. If not for him, I like the idea of using some Lillard. I also like Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon. So I actually have a lot of exposure to the later games. The guy I have the most ownership of outside of Jokic, who's in 87% of my lineups, is Jabari Smith. And I think you could easily talk someone into a fade here if you needed to or whatever, and get weird and play Tari Eason at 4,300. I think that's totally reasonable. But I like Jabari Smith a lot tonight. I like him at this price, and I would play him at this price on a big slate, much less this one. You look at the numbers. He's actually averaging 5x, and this is a plus matchup, and he's kind of finding his groove a little bit. Trey Jones. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about some guys and some stuff. So I got a bunch of question marks, a bunch of Q tags.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you about those. And then you could also, if you wouldn't mind addressing, like I know we haven't gotten starting lineups, right? So yeah. Which guys are dependent on starting versus not? So like the Q tags, but first of all, that I have are Kevin Porter Jr., Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and Doug McDermott. Like all those guys I have as Q. Are any of those in danger of not playing, or are they all probable?
I think McDermott may not be playing.
Okay.
I didn't get the official word on it, but I have him out of the starting lineup as of right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, out of the lineup entire. Oh no, I'm sorry, I have him in the starting lineup, but I think there's a chance that he doesn't play.
Bruno Fernando is ruled out.
Yeah, which makes Şengün a little bit of a better play and speaks more to my Tari Eason. Tari Eason is just a guy who can do a lot in a little bit of time. He put up 34 in the last game in 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Here it is. Actually, it says McDermott is probable tonight. So you have Josh Richardson.
Yeah, I mistakenly read the thing. But I think in terms of guessing the San Antonio starting lineup, I mean, literally just shoot whatever you want at a board. And outside of
we don't have to guess. My question though is which of these guys can you play anyway?
I don't think it really matters that much with the way that if all these guys are go, like everybody is obviously better off if they're in the starting lineup, especially because with Vassell gone, it's a lower usage starting lineup, Vassell and Podol. So I really don't think, like, if Barnum starts, I like Lang. I think he'll get more ownership than Langford because he'll project better. But Langford, I still would like off the bench, so I'm sort of iffy on that one, and that's probably the most likely thing to see that's different. Or Josh Richardson could start, and neither of those guys. But I have no problem playing. Sorry, I keep saying Branham or Langford off the bench.
Well, it's good. I was going to make all kinds of circus comments about the Spurs and not to play any of those clowns. You know what I mean? I had all kinds of stuff like piled in there, ready for the Barnum takes, but it's Branham. Oh well, that sucks.
Yeah. So David's asking in chat, like, what, are you fading the first game? And for the most part, yes, I am. Like, I do have a couple of Marcus Morris and Nick Batum lineups. Batum is probably a better play than I'm giving him credit for. Like, it is weird to me though that this guy's 1,000,000 years old and he's playing a back-to-back, and he played 37 minutes, is by far his season high last night. The Clippers are very, very funny because. And by the way, when I say funny, I mean really well coached. Like I think Ty Lue is a phenomenal coach. Like I really do. They haven't had the guys who they built this team around forever. They almost made the NBA Finals without them. Like, I mean, they've made some real runs without having their full lineup. But it is funny because when they bring back Paul George and what's his name last night and Kawhi, they played like Terrence Mann and. What's his name? Batum, a ton of minutes to go with them because they're sort of, they don't need the ball. They can sort of do all the other parts correctly. So it kind of fits in and it makes sense. But it's really strange that these guys, like, their projections are always going to look better when Paul George and Kawhi are out. But at the same time, they play more minutes and are more productive when Paul George and Kawhi are in. It's very, very, you have to sort of rewire your basketball brain for that one. Also, John Wall will be back tonight. I think he's a really good tournament play. You're not going to get the minutes out of him, and the price isn't ideal, but like the guy put up 37 and 40 in 2 out of his last 3 games. He doesn't necessarily need the minutes. It's not a good matchup, but he's a way to get a little bit different on this slate. I'm just speaking about the first game because I think Batum is probably the guy who's the most viable, and I think Marcus Morris is the other one. I just worry about the Batum, that they're really going to let him go out there and play, more than 24 minutes again. And we know he can do nothing per minute almost, but if he's going to play, I mean, if he plays 37 again, you're going to be, pissed off at yourself for not having Batum. Yeah. But I just don't see that as being a real possibility. I think you're going to see a lot of Amir Coffey minutes. I think you're going to see a lot of John Wall. I don't think that the starting lineup is going to be how it ends, if that makes sense. So, and for what it's worth, I mean, the spread has changed for some reason in that game, but I think the Heat should control that game. The Heat have not been the Heat all year long. But yeah, mostly a first game fade. I think that all the other guys in Miami are completely in play, but nobody who I'm overly excited about playing. I think Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero would be the two favorites for me. But that's, I'm just not doing it tonight. I'm building on the later games.
Are you setting any maximums? Like if you like 5 of one team, is that, would you accept that or
on this 3-gamer, I think that I like in a high in the 555, I probably wouldn't play 5 guys from one team. Okay. But if I was getting a lot of different exposure, I would love to get, I love doing that kind of stuff on small slates. We talk about stackable on big versus small slates. Yeah. Look, 6.5% of games go into overtime. If the games are within a 3.5 point spread, it goes closer to 10%. It's like 9.2. And that's a huge number. You know what I mean? Nobody factors that in. And you're not just playing for the overtime. You're playing for the down the stretch minutes. But I don't understand when people always say, oh, you can't play for overtime. I'm like, well, you're not playing for it, but adding an extra 9% is a huge thing. I mean, look at the Philly game the other night that destroyed me in my other lineups because it went into 2 overtime. So everybody who wasn't going to get there, everybody got there. You know what I mean? And you're just going to have games like that. And that's not the only reason to play 5 guys from one side to just hope for overtime. You could still get there in regulation if you get the right 5. I think if you had to pick 5 from one side, I actually think the natural thing to do would be pick San Antonio guys. But I think that if you were going to play 5, I think that playing it with Houston is probably just as logical. And I think you could go 1 through the top 7 in Houston and pick out 5 guys there too. I think both sides of that game, but like you could do a 4-3 and then 1 guy from another game in that game. I think that with Denver, I currently have 3 Denver guys and 1 Blazer in my main lineup, my biggest buy-in lineup. That's sort of what I'm finding is the sweet spot is 2 or 3 from Denver, 2 or 3 from San Antonio, at least 1 from the Rockets, 1 or 2 from the Rockets. And there's most of your lineup. Then you get 1, you decide between that last couple spots between the Blazer, Heat, and Clippers. But I'm siding with the Blazers in that argument. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, on FanDuel,
you're playing on FanDuel today. Look at you.
I am.
You just really want that sweat. We want to have that sweat.
I've been playing on FanDuel.
I know the tournaments tonight were pretty weak.
I don't know if I got last in the 150 yesterday, but it was. I started with Trae Young, but then again, I also had Morant there, so I did not get last.
Yeah, you probably didn't get last. I'm guessing there was plenty of avenues to get last.
I
thought I was doing terrible. Then I looked at my time remaining, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to win some stuff," and then nothing.
Oh, really? At all. You thought you had a shot?
Well, just because it was like, okay, well, you've got 170 with 240 remaining. And I'm like, oh, okay, That sounds pretty good to me. Like, let's go. And just couldn't quite get there.
I actually have to say that I am getting some from that first game. I am getting a little Paul George just for raw points.
You guys know, and I mention this all the time. Yeah, Paul George, absolutely. I think that's totally fine. I'm playing, I guess, too much Jokic to where I got to Paul George, but like,
right. Well,
maybe that's why. But I'm totally supportive of the Paul George thing. I do think though that if I was playing Paul George, I think I would consider probably playing a Heat guy like
a Hero or something like that.
Hero or Butler.
Right.
The bad part is they likely will face off against each other, and that is not a fun matchup for either of the two of those guys.
Right.
They're phenomenal defensively. So, although they might not put Paul George on Butler tonight because they don't have enough bodies to score, and they're going to need him to, be more active offensively. One guy I didn't mention is Zubac, and I think he's actually like an interesting large field play. I just didn't get to him. If I was playing, 20 lineups instead of 10 in the $15, I probably would have a couple of Zubac's in there. I just didn't get to him with 10 lineups. We got Eric asking some questions about NFL. Should we talk a little NFL?
Yeah, let's go. You know what? Because I do want to talk about that because we need to get actives if we haven't already. But
we haven't yet
for the Rams. Okay. Because
go ahead.
I'm saying that finding Rams to play is not easy. You know, so I'd like to know who's playing. I want to know if the Lawrence McCutcheon. Is that actually Lawrence McCutcheon's son?
I don't know.
Lawrence McCutcheon was like my favorite Ram growing up.
No, I know who it is. I just don't know if it's the same. You'd think it would be, right? Which is probably like a downgrade of why you shouldn't play him, because he would only be there because that. I don't think he's going to play anyway. But I don't know. I mean, it's weird.
We'll find out. I mean,
yeah. The Rams running backs, I think, are kind of interesting. The third stringers, the Malcolm Brown or Ronnie Rivers. If anybody else is sort of out or not in the top three, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, I don't know. Those are the interesting ones for me that I think have a little bit of weight, because the Rams could change who their running back is at any point.
Well, I'll tell you who I like from the Rams a little bit more than earlier. I have a guy who might get, you know, he might get the third most amount of carries on the team, and it could be the detective Tutuola. I mean, he gets like some like reverses. He gets some plays. Maybe he's the guy you're supposed to play for the Rams. The whatever his name is.
Which one?
The Tutuola, whatever his name is.
Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything unusual. I think he's
I'm just just trying.
Yeah, I think he's a reasonable play. I didn't get to much of him, but I totally think it's reasonable. My biggest owned Rams are Akers and Higbee, which is nothing shocking, but I do think they're going to be low owned captains. And I currently, in my two biggest buy-ins, have Akers as a captain in one and Higbee as a captain in the other.
Do you have Cole in your big one?
My big one, no. Okay. I didn't need to do it because I'm playing Devontae and Jacobs, but I've got Akers as my captain, so I saved enough money, and I skipped.
You don't have to play Carr. You don't play Carr in that way.
And I'm playing a ton of Abdullah tonight. That would be my. Well,
that I like. I like that,
including captain in some spots. I really think on a Thursday with Jacobs banged up for a 4-8 team, the writing's on the wall here that we could see a little bit more Abdullah tonight. I feel like
there was a great wrestler in my growing up. This whole, it was Abdullah the Butcher. That was his name.
Yeah. The Ram I would by the way prefer, and actually Eric just mentioned it. I think Brandon Powell is the best Rams receiver play because of price and everything considered.
Well, let's see who's the other guy that might play the Trammell. Let's just see who's actually in.
Yeah, my guess is Powell's questionable officially, so let's see. I don't have the official news. Oh, wait, hold on, maybe that's it. Josh Jacobs is active. We got that.
Okay. I mean, it's an hour and a half before. We're supposed to sort of have an idea, right?
Yeah, but it's usually the next like 15 minutes where they announce it.
All right, I'm around.
Yeah, I like Brandon Powell as my favorite of the Rams wide receivers.
Well, Wolford is active.
Yeah, and as of now, we're assuming Wolford starts. But look, I got stuck on this one with the Matt Ryan starting on my afternoon slate one week, and it cost me big time because I had a quarterback who had 0 fantasy points and didn't play a snap. And I still cashed in the big buy-in, the 333 on the afternoon slate. So I am always like wary that there could be a last minute change at quarterback. Fortunately, we'll be around to check that out.
Well, there was some coach speak earlier. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, actually. Oh, look at this! 6:35 p.m. Baker Mayfield taking all of the snaps during early warmups.
Well, there you go. Then we might have to switch over to Baker.
We might have to just fade them all.
kind of like they yeah, exactly. That's my initial thought, but like I don't know. Sure, bring on Baker.
Powell is active.
Okay.
All 3 quarterbacks are active for the Rams.
Great.
Perkins and the captain.
Perkins and the captain. That boy, I'll tell you what, man. If there was a day to do it, put anything out there. The weirdest part is like it's not like they're even putting they have Wolford on multiple sites as clearly starting, and I don't know that that's going to be the case.
Yeah. Well, the coach speak that I would have heard is that
playing backup quarterbacks. Just want to say something real quick. This is the one spot where maybe it's viable. It's the worst strategic thing you can do. They're all too expensive, and they have to get there. I mean, there's just so many things that have to go perfectly. Right, Sheets? Like, do you agree? Like, because one time one guy won a tournament with a backup quarterback. Literally, it's happened one time.
I think it's a terrible play.
Yeah.
What makes quarterbacks worth their price is just the fact that they're going to play 4 quarters, you know, and then that even if they're not good, they can just kind of get 12 fantasy points, you know. Right. You can't do it in half. You just can't do it.
Right. And you've got like Baker's price is I mean you get the price you're priced at $6,000 or whatever. Actually Baker's priced at $9,000. So I don't care. He has to be fully starting for me to even consider him. I'm not playing him as a bench guy. First of all, this guy barely eclipses 10 fantasy points most of the time when he starts. He's averaging 11 fantasy points a game on the season, and that's getting every snap and throwing the ball 50 times and all that stuff. That's not going to be the case today. The thing that's funny about it, though, is that if you want to beat Vegas, like just throw the hell out of the ball on them. They can't cover anybody, but I don't know if that's going to matter much for the Rams.
They're ranked 30th against the pass.
They're awful. They're awful. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The guys who had the weird ones, I mentioned the Abdullah play that I like. I am just basically I think I have 90% Devontae Adams, so I don't have 100. I think I have 80% Jacobs, but I'm very happy to make that a little bit lower and play more Carr. I have Higbee ahead of Moreau, but as I mentioned, they're using Higbee to block a lot these days, so it does scare me a little bit. Which I guess makes Bryce Hopkins in play. Although you could just make the same argument for Jacob Hollister. Just these guys are so low. The thing is, Keelan Cole could actually catch a 60-yard touchdown pass. These guys
they don't run a deep rotation. You know what I mean? Like those guys are just going to play all the snaps. Like even Hollister will get like 5 snaps. You know, like
right.
You're just going to get that, and that's they're like the freaking. I was about to say the Mariners. They're like the freaking Seahawks. I mean, like you just know where it's going, and there's there going to be no subs. I mean, that's that's what makes it tough.
Yep. So because I do think that they will. I don't know this multi-quarterback thing, what they're going to do. I actually think it's not the worst idea for them to try some things. The Rams. I do think that I should probably get less Wolford and maybe no Wolford actually.
I mean, I think Baker is going to be playing some.
You think he'll play a little bit? You're right.
Yeah. I mean, also, what I heard on the coach speak, I've been trying to say is that apparently during the flight over that he really did try to memorize the whole playbook or something like that. So they would like to. They're planning on him maybe being able to play. I mean.
Yeah, 5 years in Cleveland, he still couldn't memorize the playbook. But
yeah, he knew the playbook. He just decided to do whatever he wanted. Anyway.
Did he know the playbook? Because
he just decided to do whatever he wanted anyway.
I'm wondering. I was so much not on Odell Beckham's. I wasn't on Baker's side ever, but I could not figure out how you have Odell Beckham and how he could get 2 targets per game. I just didn't understand how that's even possible. And he comes to the Rams, the team that was absolutely loaded, and they certainly found a place for him. He helped us win the Super Bowl. Baker is so bad. I mean, again, he probably wins somebody all the money tonight, but I actually think they're going to use all 3 quarterbacks. I actually think you'll see Bryce. I think you'll see Perkins in there for some, potentially 3rd and short situations to run some option. I think you're going to see some, probably Wolford to start. And I think you're going to end up seeing probably majority of Baker based on what the.
I'll tell you, if they really wanted to make this slate fun, they would make Bryce Perkins 200.
That would be fun, or any of these guys. But you're not. That's why my whole argument of why you don't play the backup quarterback is, I think, valid. You're paying, I mean, for the amount you're paying. So if you want to play Baker and fade Jacobs and Adams, you have zero chance of winning in general. Like, you should never play DFS again because it doesn't make any sense. You're spending basically the same amount of money for guys with guaranteed production, and Baker has to like have a big game for that to happen. It's a little humble brag there, Eric. But by the way, I played Taysom Hill at captain as well last week, and that was, it felt good for a minute. I also played Julio Jones in my big buy, and Taysom Hill. He was really low owned, and had a big play against.
Well, I'll tell you who I'm not playing in the captain. I'm not playing any of the Rams quarterbacks in the captain.
No Rams quarterbacks in the captain for me either.
As a matter of fact, I don't believe I'm going to play any Rams quarterbacks. I think that's the idea.
I think that's a good idea. It's just not that. I mean, the price difference for Carr is like non-existent. You know what I mean? Carr and there's like a $500 price difference or $600 price difference between Carr and Mayfield. Like, okay.
You like any of these kickers, defense, or anything? I mean, they're going to show up in lineups. I mean.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the way I'm playing, is like throwing a defense in with these guys on both sides of the defense, and I think both kickers. But as I'm playing, now that I look at it, where I'm playing the Higbee, and by the way, if we're going to get some snaps from Baker tonight, I think that makes Higbee just a much, much better play even. The guy will rely on his tight ends because he can't really do much else. And he'll scramble enough to where he can get tight ends out on those little like naked, like not exactly a naked bootleg, but sort of, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of room to run. That's where I sort of see this one. I think Mac Hollins is a completely viable captain option.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But I personally like where is he going to be owned? If he's going to be owned 6% and I can get, 3% Cam Akers, I think I'd rather make that Cam Akers play and they're similar prices to Mac Hollins. That makes sense?
Yeah.
But 6% is pretty good. I like the Mac Hollins idea. I'm totally on board with it. I think that the weird thing is I think you're going to see a kicker in the top. I think Daniel Carlson is going to be one of the most popular kickers. I mean, one of the most popular captains. And that's kind of unusual that we get that. And I think because perception, the Raiders defense will be insanely owned, where the Rams defense will be unowned.
This Keelan Cole price is ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, he's an actual football player, kind of.
He's going to be on the field for 80% of snaps. I mean, like,
for their 3 wide receiver sets, but they run a ton of. You've noticed, like with Jacobs, I noticed by watching them, they run a ton of just 2 wide receiver sets. This is not like the Chiefs, who are running like 3 wide receiver, 4 wide receiver sets, on every other play.
Right.
They love to put their run formation in and then look for just Adams, and then as a bailout, Hollins or Moreau.
Yeah, I'm gonna I got a limit. I'm gonna only have 50% of Cole.
You should do something while we're on the show here, because it's very unlikely it could happen. But what do you think the odds are of the Raiders to win the Super Bowl?
0? I don't know.
I mean, if they're like 1,000 to 1 or 500 to 1, how is that not an interesting bet? Like, they lost probably at least 4 games they should have won. They probably should be about 8-4 right now, instead of 4-8.
What's their record? 4-8. I mean, they have to win out for openers, right? I mean, like,
they could possibly lose one more and then get through. But I mean, in terms of firepower, they certainly have that. Like, their offense is as good as anybody in football's.
I guess
they've been. I mean, anyway, I think it's a crazy, like, this is what Eric writes. Don't bet the Raiders win Super Bowl. People, everything is on a thing. So if it happens, if you're getting 500 or 1,000 to 1 on a team that you think offensively can compete with everyone, this is what I did with when I won all the money when the Ravens won the Super Bowl. I got them at the right time when they were under 500, and then I doubled down in the playoffs and won an absolute fortune off of it. There's no chance that they're obviously going to really win the Super Bowl, But I'm saying if you played this out 500 times and you put $5 on it, it's kind of a fun little bet. I don't know. It probably would have to be 1,000 to 1, I think. Anyway, sorry, that was my side note.
Just the math is rough. That's all. I mean,
I just don't like every team I could picture them playing in the AFC on their way. I other than the Bills, I don't think anybody's significantly so much better than they are. You know, even the Chiefs have their issues, and I like the Chiefs better. I like but they can beat everybody in football. All right, what else we got? So guys, there was some more basketball stuff that somebody mentioned that I wanted to see didn't really understand the question, but I'm going to try and see if I can figure it out. What is the gamble with playing Moses Brown coming in?
Oh, this again?
Well, you started all, by the way.
I know. This is what happens.
You can't, like, if someone just hears you say a name, they think that person is like heavily in play. Yeah. I actually think Moses Brown is in play. If he wasn't center only eligible, but
what team is he on?
He's on the Clippers.
Oh, let me tell you this: if he was going to be in that freaking showdown slate that I was playing, I would definitely be playing him.
Oh, if he was in a showdown slate, he would be my captain. I swear to God.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
No, I mean Zubac played 37 minutes last night. I think that's Zubac's season high for minutes, and I mean, you have Paul George on a back-to-back coming off an injury. You have, 95-year-old Nicholas Batum. There is an absolute chance to get some young burst of energy, especially because they're going to have to match up with Bam and or some size anyway, Dedmon. Why couldn't Moses Brown do it? What I would say, though, is if I'm playing him, I'm probably using the other center spot for one of the other pay downs and getting a really weird build. And then just playing chalk with the rest of the weird build, because you could play him with Collins, or I think he and Bassey, and that way you just say, okay, I got those two guys as my centers. I'm definitely off the board because of my build, and I can spend on every player who's not a center the rest of the way. Play Paul George, play Damian Lillard, play Jamal Murray, but you use your value that way, and then just no one's going to do that. So I actually think I don't even think it has to be large field. I'm talking myself into this a little bit, this Moses Brown thing. There is some real logic of why Moses Brown could be a play tonight. Now, could he get 0 minutes? For 100%, he could get 0 minutes. But they only have 11 bodies. You have a team that plays big, and he's the only other big other than Zubac. And if they want to go small, it's not like they have they're not as equipped as they were without Man and guys who guard multiple positions as they were last year. So I'm kind of on board with the idea of taking a long shot at Moses Brown. We know he's great per minute. Like, even if he plays 12 minutes, he could still sneak his way to get you there. He might outscore Romeo Langford's 26 minutes in his 12 minutes.
And he's on the upswing.
He's on the upswing. Well, I mean, he's always himself. And then there's like the upswing is like, okay, he played 15 minutes. Like, we feel good about him now.
Do we like Brandon Powell tonight?
Yeah, Brandon Powell is my favorite Rams receiver, price considered. They ran him 3 times. Like, if you're gonna design 3 rushing plays and you're gonna get 5 targets as a Rams receiver right now, you're automatically going to be in my consideration, like high at the top of my consideration. If you run, because if you're not a team that's running wide receivers all that often, and you start running a wide receiver, that means he's actively a part of your game plan.
I will tell you
what. They did that last week in a competitive game.
I'll tell you what. I'm playing this 222 in a showdown. If I win, I'm going to probably cash for 800. This is like the chalkiest freaking lineup I've ever made. I got to do something about this. This is ridiculous. And it leaves over 1,000 on the table.
Then you're definitely not going to win only 800. If you,
I'm going to leave it then. I'm going to leave it.
You got 1,000 on the table plus, like, it's really hard for that to be duped.
I'm going to leave it. This is like.
It just, but Cheats, remember we saw the guy who I know who did it, and he did it twice last year, once in the NBA playoffs and once in the NFL regular season, and he won the really big prize. I think it was during the finals he did it. But he just played all the chalky plays and left like 4,000 on the table.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of interesting.
Well, there's one play I can change. Okay, so actually there are two things I can do. Who do you like better? I'm gonna give you 3 guys, and you gotta tell me who you like more, just on, I don't know, just points, whatever it is. Okay. Is it Dylan Carson? Is that his name? Daniel Carson, sorry. Daniel Carson, Matt Gay, or Tutu Atwell?
The logical answer is Carson. The pivot is Gay, and then the home run hitter is Atwell, I guess. Is the best way I can put it. Just keep in mind that because the Rams are different right now, it doesn't mean the Rams coaching is going to change. They'll still go for it on fourth downs.
Yeah.
We know this is a forgotten season for our boys, and still have heavy belief in our coach. And by the way, and like you said, Sheets, kind of like, it's funny because everybody's knocking the Rams. I feel like kind of congratulations. You guys have nobody healthy,
right? And
nothing happening. And all you do is just they fight every game. They're in there. Yeah. I think Tutu is like, I guess it depends on if you're playing Powell also, maybe not. Maybe one of the picks take the kickers, which would be Gay because he'll be lower owned, even though I like Carlson better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get Brandon Powell in my main lineup, and it's starting to feel stupid to me. Shoot, I really wanted to play. Let's see, maybe I just leave 1,000 on the table. Maybe I leave 1,500 on the table. How about that? Is that enough?
Well,
maybe I skip Higbee.
Without giving my lineup away, and another 100 left on the table. Then we're talking.
What about Darren Waller?
Yeah, I'll play Darren Waller.
I know he's out, but his price is down near Moreau.
You can play Alan Trammell was pretty good for the Tigers for a while.
He was, yeah.
How about a pivot off of Amir Abdullah? You play Zamir White.
Yeah, I think it's viable. I'm not doing any of it, to be honest with you, but I think it's like more viable than probably some of the other plays we talked about. I probably should have hit on that one sooner.
What is the price on Cam Akers? He's 7.8.
Man, there's a lot of yuckiness in this weird slate. Now, what if I spend all of my money and I don't leave anything on the table, but I'm playing Akers, Powell, and Abdullah, and Akers as captain? That should probably be okay. Oh, Sheets, I wish we would have done the show last week. I was so excited about my and Thursday, but for whatever reason, Thursday Night Football has been like by far my highest ROI. Like for every, I think I'm at like somewhere around 600% on the year. I mean, it's really nuts. Like my ROI on these Thursday nights. But last week it was so fun to have the non-duplicated lineup and also a chance to only chop 7 ways or 8 ways. I think it was, whatever it was in the big one. I found a lineup I really like. Can I get away with playing all these receivers? Can't quite figure out what I want to do.
Well, what you could do, if you want to play the Rams, why don't you just play the 3 best Rams, the best players that are on the Rams, and that would be Cam Akers, Tyler Higbee, and Matt Gay. Those are probably the 3 best Rams.
Mm-hmm. I just really like the possibility of how they're going to use Powell.
Yeah.
No quarterbacks in my lineup and multiple receivers. That just feels so weird. I don't know what to do with this one. Appreciate the kind words, Pingalore. I appreciate it. Akers, Powell, Abdullah, you can play whoever you want. Exactly. Yeah. Like this is what I'm talking about, Eric. And you captain one of those guys, especially Akers, like the most logical one. You can do what you want, right? Like I think that the rest of the lineup, yeah, I think you're kind of in good shape to do what you want. I feel like I have way too much Josh Jacobs, even with Abdullah. I think I need to get less Josh Jacobs for sure. Sort of the conclusion I'm coming to here.
Yeah.
Need a lot more Derek Carr, in my opinion. That's one guy who I'm definitely going to try and get higher on.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of points out there today, you know. But besides Jacobs and well, okay, so let's say it another way. So Jacobs and Adams, right? Anybody else except for them scores a touchdown, and the odds are somebody does, right?
Right.
Then you want them.
Well, I guess the odds are that someone does. It's just like Davante Adams could, like, he's going to get there anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. Huh?
It's the hardest one to fade for raw points on this kind of a slate. I think Jacobs is more fadeable, to be honest, but they're both tough fades. I'm going through my lineups, literally actively just doing everything I can to get Jacobs out of them, and it's actually hard to do.
It's just
I don't want to play the
impossible.
quarterbacks.
I will say this, by the way, that line, if you have the lineups with Cole, Jacobs, Adams, and Carr, right? I think every combination will be taken of the other two positions.
Cole, Adams, Jacobs. Yep. Agreed. I'm gonna captain Abdullah in one. I'm too on this hunch for me to, and it's too much of a savings. You know what I mean? And then you play both the other guys. I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Abdullah in the captain.
How about that? How about Abdullah for the captain? Why not? What's happening though, because of all this weird stuff that I'm doing, I'm ending up with almost no Cole.
Yeah, that's asking for it, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm getting you have this idea of Powell being the guy they're going to run the reverses for and stuff like that. I kind of like the Atwell for that spot.
I'm just saying because they ran him to some success last week, but Atwell is just, Atwell absolutely. Atwell's just a lot more expensive. It's the only reason I thought of it, but I'm totally with you. If you want to go Atwell, go Atwell. I have no problem with that. How about Kieran Williams and Tutu Atwell with Abdullah as captain? That's not getting duped, I don't think, too many times, right?
No.
I think I'm good on that one. Look, man, it's weird. All these lineups, I just take these weird shots, and for some reason on Thursday, I always seem to have one really live one. I think 5-1 Raiders is going to be the chalky way to go, and 4-2 Raiders, but I'm on board with trying to get in multiple Rams as much as I can.
Let me take a look at some if there's any NBA news that's worth addressing. Oh, I didn't know that.
Whoa, okay. They're starting Drew Smith for Miami. Okay. Let's think about
what does this mean for the average man?
I think nothing.
We probably just shouldn't play him, right?
I think he's going to project through the roof, though.
Oh no.
I'm just guessing. Because it's just, you start a guy at 3K at point guard.
Oh.
Let me just see real quick. He's still not. Maybe they haven't updated yet.
Yeah, one place I have isn't updated.
Because he's projected to play almost no minutes.
Is he going to start and play 12 minutes or start and play 40?
Well, they don't have Caleb Martin. I'm sorry, they do have Caleb Martin. They don't have Gabe Vincent. But Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler are both pseudo point guards, as is kind of Caleb Martin. And Bam brings the ball up a lot. And then you got Oladipo now with Oladipo minutes off the bench. He only played 18 in the last game. I expect it to be closer to 20.
How about Oladipo tonight?
Just barely too cute for me.
Yeah, but if they're going to start Drew Smith, maybe that means that Oladipo gets 25 minutes.
Definitely a boost out Oladipo for sure. But is 25 a good enough?
No, I guess not.
And you just capped on the minutes, but he could put up we've seen it before with him.
Put up 40.
He came back his second game back the last time he put up 50 in 20 minutes.
I forgot about that.
Because he'll just go nuts sometimes. Ugh. That Drew Smith thing. I'm curious to see if the projections do change. Let me just see.
Yeah, well, we got a few minutes.
Oh my God. That's really frustrating.
The Drew Smith slate. I like that.
What the hell? I mean, he's gonna have no usage whatsoever.
Let's see something. Reset. How do you project Drew Smith? I mean,
he has to be projected to at least 5x. You can't be starting for a team missing players at the minimum cost. Shoot, I got to get this phone call.
Oh, go get it.
I'm gonna mute myself, but I'll come right back.
Yeah, okay. Drew Smith. Let's see what. Drew Smith. Yeah, the Drew Smith thing's annoying. Well, we got one hockey lineup that's kind of off to a good start already. We have us and everybody else with I got an assist for a 1.5% owned guy. That's something. Got Cole getting the assist to Brandon Point. Ian Cole at 3,600 at 1.6%. It's off to a good start. No, that's something. So I'm really just waiting on this this Miami stuff to update. Got a 19-minute projection, 12 fantasy points, but I have to believe that's gonna update. Yeah, they just can't quite get the Drew Smith thing up there. 12 fantasy points? Maybe. The Oladipo play is kind of intriguing to me. One thing's for sure, I'm definitely going to have to change something. How about this little hockey lineup here with off to a good start. Tampa 2-0 now. I have some of that. Let's see. Yeah, this do I have both goals in this one? No, but I have 2 assists. So this one I have the point goal and then 2 assists. So I don't have a perfect clean sheet, so to speak. I don't have both goals. Like Perry at 1.8% and Point. I don't have that, but I do have one with Point and Cole with the assist cheap, and Hedman. He's not the greatest GPP in the world, player in the world, so it's good to get his assist up on the board. Stamkos shot and goal and assist. So these guys are off to a good start. But I'm still waiting on this on the projections to update for the Drew Smith game, whatever that is. Okay, so they have him starting at 15 fantasy points. I guess that's okay. Seems like just kind of a guess. Probably gonna have to get to some of them. I'm just guessing though. 12 fantasy points I'm seeing. Let me see. Let's see. I'll go to one other site, see what they're going to come up with. Just feels wrong, but someone scored, I think. No, it's still just 2-0. So yeah, the Drew Smith I still don't have. Drew Smith, 19 minutes, 12 fantasy points. I don't know. I think Miami likes to play their starters. Drew Smith, 15 fantasy points. I might have to do some of this Oladipo business. Yeah, Oladipo, if he gets 25 minutes, I think I kind of want that. Why don't I just do what I said? Why don't I just not play anybody from this game? As I mentioned 30 different times, and just not worry about it, and just keep the Houston San Antonio. All I'm doing is playing Miami guys. It's just taking a guy away from this one combination away from this Houston San Antonio game with the bigger total. You know what I mean? And then possible late swap stuff to the Denver Portland game. I don't know. I don't think I want to do this Drew Smith thing. Every time this happens, I end up pivoting to these guys, and they end up with 12 fantasy points. I'm just going to run just for the hell of it. I'm going to run another build. I'll let you guys watch. Okay, hold on. That's what we're going to do. Hang on. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go share a screen, and then we're going to run a build. But this is what we're going to do. We're just going to change the Miami guys. We're going to upload here, and then we're going to change the Miami guys.
I'm back.
Yeah, so they're still not updating much of the Drew Smith. I have one. Sabres has him like at 15. A couple people have a 12. I'm gonna have to get talked off of this stupid Oladipo idea.
I mean, maybe it's not so stupid. There's a chance he could get more run. What? So what did you say that Drew Smith was at though?
Maybe somewhere between 12 and 15, depending on.
Wow, interesting. That actually feels a little bit under projecting. Now I'm kind of interested.
It does, right? I mean,
I get how he's not going to get all the run, but like, I don't know. That's weird. I think it's going to.
Why don't I just? What I was just talking about before you came back is, why can't I just do what I said and just not play any of these freaking guys from this game? Just be done with it. Every time I do this is my Taylor Horton Tucker game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
where all of a sudden my builds get all thrown out of whack because one stupid guy with zero usage, like, gets projected for whatever. Not that Taylor Horton Tucker is the same thing.
No, but I know what you're saying. No, I've run into a lot of that myself. Like, and I think that is like something you want to try to catch on to. But like, I don't know. It's weird to have a minimum cost guy who
a point guard.
Yeah, like
but is he point guard? Isn't like Hero and Butler?
No, yeah, that's the thing. He's not really. But I thought like he was going to project well, projection wise, and the fact that he isn't.
Well, here it is. I ran a build with Drew Smith, giving him 15 fantasy points, and of course I get like 50% of it. Like it's like an annoyance, is what it is.
But like it's weird though because I'm playing Spurs over him that I feel like are just as well. Are they just as volatile?
Are they just as good, right?
Because Oladipo and Stris will play. Drew Smith closing would only mean he goes completely nuclear. Like
he's not closing this game, is he?
No, it would take a very strange game thing for that. He'd have to like play insanely well. But it's like on the table. You know what? Maybe if you're going to play Drew Smith, just save it and play like a weird Duncan Robinson play or something. I don't know. I'm just not going to do it. I don't think I'm doing the Drew Smith thing. And if it costs me, it costs me.
I think we're on the same page there.
I'm just wondering, like, you don't get that usually on 3-game slates where you have an unowned starting point guard at 3K.
Is he going to be unowned after all that?
That's what it doesn't seem like people are going to play him, right?
And now these guys have him at 15. This is like going to be a legit 15-point projection.
I think 15 to 16 is going to be right where he ends up. It's like I don't need the extra thing though. Like it doesn't help me any. But I don't necessarily need Romeo Langford. Like, what do I need any of these guys for? Ugh. Trying to rethink this thing here.
Drew Smith in the lowest total game on the slate, huh? That's what my life has become, huh?
I hear you.
I was just going to go to dinner. Not going to worry about it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm going to run a projection thing. We'll see what I get. Then what I'll probably do is I'll just pare down the exposure or something. The Roto Grinders updated all, or they're not taking a stand either. Everybody's going to give them the 15. Everybody's going to give them the same number.
Yeah. Ugh. Trajan, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm not really playing this game, so it's weird for me. The thing I'm struggling with right now is whether I want to play Josh Hart as my second guy, or do I want as my second Portland guy, or do I want to play Bruce Brown along with? I think Josh Hart will be significantly lower owned. I think that's my answer is right in front of me. It just makes more sense for game flow. Also, if everybody hits the first games, I can always change it at 7. Okay. Talked myself into a new lineup build. Well, welcome to the team, Doug McDermott. Jeez.
Doug McDermott, huh? That's what we're doing.
If he plays. We don't even know if he plays.
Right.
And Josh Hart, we don't even know if he plays. I'm just trying to find it's weird on these slates. You try to get different. I can just say probably rely on the first build I did, guys, because the first builds I've done have been absolutely ridiculous when they shouldn't have been. It's like reacting to news has really cost me. Oh, you know who's another cheap guy who no one's going to go back to, and maybe you don't want to. But Haywood Highsmith played 28 minutes the other night, had 4 fantasy points.
A lot of that.
I mean, that's almost impossible to do. He played 26 a few games before. He put up 35. Like that's something kind of funny you could do. Maybe that's I mean, Highsmith should get the same amount of run as Drew Smith and probably like at least had a chance to get some rebounds or something.
I think I'm going to end up letting kind of fate decide this whole thing, because we actually don't have too much time. So I'm updating my stuff, and if I update it in time and make builds in time, and I like what I see, I'll change it. If not, we're going to let the time tick away. And that'll be the end of it. And unfortunately, the Drew Smith decision has to be made within the next minute and a half, right? So
yeah, and like, look, the reason why it's interesting is because there's not ownership. I just want to throw that out there. Like, if it was going to be like a 30% Drew Smith, I'm fine with just saying, okay, you know what? If it beats me, it beats me. But if you're talking about a guy who might be 5 or 10% owned, and he puts up 30, you're dead. Like. I mean, you're dead to win a tournament because somebody's going to play him.
Yeah.
Batum also. What the fuck? Maybe if I could get to Batum instead of I'm 100 off of where I can play Batum. Fritch.
Well, what's Batum doing?
I'm sort of like just caught up in the fact that he's starting and he's 3,800 and he played 37 minutes last night. Like that should be a bad thing, but it's also kind of a good thing. That's just a weird slate. I'm just getting my Portland Denver stack ready and do that. And you're right. It's like overall, most of the time not playing Drew Smith here is not going to cost you. On a giant slate, it's never going to cost you. Like literally never. But on this slate, if he outscores the other guys in the 3Ks, you're in trouble. Like my guess is he ends up like 8% owned. I'm really curious where he does end up owned. And I'm done with that's it for basketball. I don't have anybody in the first game, so just waiting to hear on. Oh, McDermott is in, and Hart is officially probable, but we shall see. I got to double check because I feel like I have a memory of Josh Hart having a good games against Denver, but I think it was years ago with a different team. So I think I just need to wipe that out of my head.
All right, so we did not play Drewson.
All right, what do we think his ownership is, Sheets?
I'm afraid to look.
I bet you.
Actually, I don't even know what I want to see.
Somewhere, I'm sort of with you there. I don't know what I want to see either. Somewhere between 8 and 12%, maybe.
I just want him to score 0 points. That's what I want.
Like, is he a better play than Usman Garuba? I don't even think he's a better play than that necessarily. So, ugh. Well, he's not. I don't think. I think we should be all right. I really do. I don't think this is going to be a play that costs us unless somebody gets hurt or something. Which, of course, means now that someone is definitely going to get hurt, and we're in trouble. Ugh. I've got to get over to our company call, so I'm gonna get out of here.
Wait, we have a call right now?
Yeah, every Monday and Thursday at 7:30.
Can you send me the link?
You got it. It's the regular link, but I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.